Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ascension Teachings, and today what we're going to go into is CE5. So before I explain CE5, let's check out what it stands for, which it actually stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, but there's a reason for this. So let's look at CE1 to start off with. So Close Encounters of the First Kind, which is 1. Visual sighting of an unidentified flying object, seemingly less than 500 feet away, that show an appreciable angular extension and considerable detail. So the next one, Close Encounters 2, Close Encounters of the Second Kind, a UFO event in which a physical effect is alleged. So this can be interference in the functioning of a vehicle or device, animals reacting, psychological effects such as paralysis or heat and discomfort in the witness, or some physical trace like impression in the ground, scorched or otherwise affected vegetation, or a chemical trace. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, so UFO encounters in which an animated entity is present. These include humanoids, robots, and humans who seem to be occupants or pilots of a UFO, meaning the unidentified flying object. So let's go up from this. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. A close encounter of the fourth kind is a UFO event in which a human is abducted by a UFO or its occupants. This type was not included in Hynek's original Close Encounter scale. So with the classification of C1 to 3, they were done by Alan Hynek, who worked on Project Blue Book for the US government, later leaving that to have his own UFO organisation because he knew the validity of it, though he may have not been acting that way with the front to the public during the Blue Book report. So these classifications are actually from Wikipedia, not that we can trust everything from Wikipedia, but this is just a short conceptual idea of what they mean. So Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. A close encounter of the fifth kind is a UFO event that involves direct communication between aliens and humans. This type of close encounter was named by Stephen M. Greer, CSETI Group, and is described as bilateral contact experiences through consciousness voluntarily and proactive human-initiated cooperative communication with extraterrestrial intelligence. So it's where you initiate contact, and that's what we're going to be going into. So Close Encounters of the Sixth Kind, death of a human or animal associated with a UFO sighting, though this could be considered a more severe example of a second kind encounter. And Close Encounters of the Seventh Kind, the creation of a human-alien hybrid either by sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods. So as I went into with the first episode in Season 1, I was talking about how we can only see a fraction of 0.005% of physical matter, which is the visible light spectrum, or that's only a part of that 0.005% of physical matter. As you can see, we've got infrared on one side, ultraviolet rays on the other side, X-rays, microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, all these different things going on within that 0.005% of physical matter, and that's all we can perceive at this time and pick up. Which is why it's important with what I've been talking about with sensing with the body, our thoughts, ideas and concepts, and our mind's eye. These are the three ways, and there are more senses than that, but these are the three ways that you can start to perceive and interact with these otherworldly beings. So the best way I can describe this is, imagine the universe as the wireless internet, and your body is a computer, and the consciousness is a software which is tapped in to the wireless internet. And if you can understand that, you can understand how we're all tapped into that unified field, that omnipresent consciousness which we are all a part of, and through our thoughts and ideas and intention, we can make contact with otherworldly beings, ETs, spirit guides, source, what have you. For starters with this, meditation is a must. Now, it's not meaning that you have to do it all the time or for long periods, but observing your thoughts, observing the mind. And what can happen, right, is over time you'll start to realize that you're out here and you're connected to the body computer and you're viewing this reality through two eyes, you know, including that which is included in the five senses, and that's how you perceive this reality. But really we're out here, energetic field goes right out. So when meditating, one day, I hope for you watching this, you get to experience what I call God consciousness. It just seems to happen. It's usually when people are fed up with meditating, they're sick of doing the work, But they'll go and meditate and there just seems to be a breakthrough experience. But you can obtain that through hard work. You don't have to be frustrated with it either. But I know that everyone can experience it. It's just doing the inner work. And from that state, you can go out and project thoughts out, connect with these other beings, and vice versa. They can connect with you in that state. And that is part of initiating contact. So meditation practices, the candle meditation, looking at a candle, closing your eyes and still seeing it just how you saw it. When you lose it, open your eyes up and keep doing that over and over. Even 5 minutes a few times a week can really start activating the pineal gland as well. Again, just a meditation where you're observing the sensations in the body. The other meditation, observing the thoughts. But breathing techniques can be a big thing to help with that. So there'll be more of this as we go along. Like I just mentioned, meditation's a great thing, but breathing practices, even doing things like walking meditations, that can be very productive for people because the mind chatter seems to kick out, but they'll come with epiphanies and ideas and concepts. Problem-solving ideas can happen in that state. The connecting to the guides method that we went through, that is a great way to start initiating contact as well, which was on the last episode of season 1. Psychic exercises, so whether it's remote viewing exercises, whether it's getting your friend to get an object, place it somewhere and getting you to guess it, that is a great way. There's many ways that you can do psychic exercises. Recognizing your thoughts, observation of thoughts. This is the way that they will communicate with you predominantly most of the time. That and your mind's eye, and feeling, emotion is how they communicate as well, through feeling. Along with energy exercises like, you can start out with Reiki or certain types of hands-on healing or modalities. If you're already acquainted with that, it's great because you can sense energy. So just energy work, Yigong, Qigong, Tai Chi, you get to start to feel energy over time. And that's great because you feel the beings when they come through. And it takes a while for some to be able to perceive that energy when it comes in and observe it. So like anything, the biggest thing that I can say with CE5 is your intention. What is your intention? Me personally, yes, I film a lot, but it's not about filming the crafts. Now, I wouldn't even film 10% of what I see. And I've always got a camera on me. So if you're doing this just to film something, pretty much forget about it. Because they're not going to allow you unless you're in the right heart, the frame of mind and the intention. If the intention is not right, forget about it. So the intention, what is your intention? I'm really asking you, what is your intention? Think about that, because like I've stated in previous episodes, your whole life changes from this, and once you experience it, that's the red pill and you cannot go back. And some people wake up from some type of conspiracy event that they've been in, which isn't a theory, and that opens them up to what else we're being hidden from. Some people experience paranormal phenomena, UFOs, have a spiritual awakening, a Kundalini experience. It's different for everyone. So think about it. Why are you doing this? The reason I'm doing this after the contact led me this way was to be somebody that is helping others be able to experience and do what I do and experience the beings that they're working with. And then from there, we can start to do it in little pocket groups as a collective, which is basically reintroducing ourselves to the greater family of man and having that dialogue, starting to come to a place where we're playing our part in the cosmos. That's my intention, along with spiritual development, enhancing my abilities so I can be of service better. Because when you enhance your abilities, with that, you have to have the heart, but you've also got to be in service mode. So everything is interconnected with that. And of course, wanting to be a better person is what I'm wanting to be each and every day. And through the practices, through the work, through sometimes being shown what you need to work on, sometimes showing that you don't own anything in a situation going on. Sometimes you may need to go experience another realm or get information from a being. These beings aren't the end-all be-all. They are what we interact with and communicate with and come across on the way back to source. And these beings are actually doing the same thing. They're trying to get back to source too. It just depends on the development of where they're at and who they are. So with the rainbow light beings, they're able to do it, but they're wanting to be in service mode and assist people like us wanting to go up the chain again and get back to source. And so it's through enlightenment, but you've got to drop enlightenment in order to obtain it as well. You've got to let it go, because it's not what we think in the human mind. It's bigger and more beautiful than what we can imagine. So intention, right? So what's your intention? Why are you doing this? What do you want to gain from this? And a loving heart, good intention, open-mindedness are keys, along with trying to not control what happens. This is where so many people screw up, is they're trying to control that they're going to come here. I want you to come over here. Now, what will happen during the events that I hold, and I tell everyone, if you get a thought or an idea to look in a certain area and you just feel something's going to happen in a certain area, tell somebody with you. Because there's potentially a good chance that the craft is going to appear where that person has had a thought to keep looking and checking on. This is what I mean by contact. By no means do you want to control it. Just be open, but we always do clearings. People like James Gilliland and myself, we always do clearings before initiating it, because you could bring anything and everything in and you don't want that to happen. And there is sometimes that military operations will basically be put to the site where you're doing these things to try and warn off the crafts or try to monitor and see what's going on. So there is a lot of things that can happen during these types of events and CE5 outings that I do have, and they do happen. So before going any further, what mood are you in? Like my friend John Vivanco says, when you're freaking out or you're not in a good space, it's pretty much like throwing bricks at them. They are so tapped in that frustration, anger, not being in a good mood on our part can pretty much, don't go and try and make contact when it's happening, because nothing's going to happen. It's a waste of time. So think about it. What mood are you in when you're going to do it? And if you don't feel good, do a clearing. The environment. Now, this is more in depth than what a lot of people go into, and I've got to really keep this short because I could probably just do a season alone on this with the workshops that I do and everything. And I've been doing these worldwide now for probably 6 years, and I've been doing it nearly 10 years, or around the 10-year mark. So the environment. Now, things to look out for. Are you in a safe environment? So what's the environment like? Like, is there a lot of cars nearby at homes? Now, you can do this from home in your backyard. A majority of the crafts that I started to film when this started to happen, I was probably in an area that was 10 foot by about 5 foot. It was a very small backyard on the apartment that I had, and I would just walk out and the crafts would be there after I meditated and I had the thought to go out whenever they were sending me that communication. So what are the threats in the area? Are there any holes in the ground, snakes in the environment, things like that? If you're going on an outing and doing it, this is pertaining to. What are the conditions like? Is it cold outside? Is it really hot? Is there storms nearby? Think about these sorts of things just for when you're doing it, especially in a group setting. Now, are you in an emotionally safe environment? A lot of these events, you can get different people from different backgrounds. Pretty much I've been very lucky with this sort of thing where everyone's just been, they always say just great people come to the events that I hold, but that's the thing, you know, somebody being upset and come to it, it can ruin the event sometimes, and then they go and then the crafts show up. These types of things can and do happen. Are there any distractions in the area? Any thing that can get you off your intention? But the other thing is too, hazards. Are there any hazards? Like I said, holes in the ground, you know, anything in the environment. Like I say to some people, go there during the day, check out if there's any hazards, because you're in complete darkness a lot of time and you want to be, or you'll have low lighting so you can see some of the devices, which I will be showing you as well. So there's a difference with different types of contact, which are two in my opinion, and I don't know it all. I'm open to learn new things, so I could be doing this in a few years' time and it'll be different. But there's two aspects, as I've talked about earlier as well. There's individual contact and group collective contact. Now, you can do this by yourself and you can do it with a group, which is great because it's doing it in the group setting to where we wean the human race into a group collective contact. So some people decide some of the time not to do it individually just because they're not ready of what can happen, because beings can manifest, you can end up on board a craft, you can astrally be pulled, many different things can happen. And what I find is sometimes when they go to a group setting and experience what I'm talking about, it's almost like they've been broken in and now they're ready to experience it by themselves. There was a little bit of fear there, which I can understand. So think about that for yourself, how you want to approach this if you want to do this. With things that you can do is you can use tones, whether it's binaural beats, Tibetan singing bowls. It's good for clearing the space, clearing the frequencies and energies. The next thing is meditation. Now with the meditation techniques, what you can do is something like by connecting to the guides method. So do a clearing, sit down, put your hands out, go in a meditative state, and then invite the beings that you're working with to come through. Now you can ask them to show themselves physically, astrally, or in your mind's eye, or like an apparition, show a craft, an orb. There's many different things that can happen, which I'll go into. But basically, go into a meditative state, clear, and set the intention that you would like to make peaceful contact with beings that are open to it, that are there for the awakening healing process of humanity and their own race and the universe in general, and that you would like a dialogue and an introduction to connect with these beings for the intention of universal peace and love and getting to know your greater family. Besides that, the guide method and doing what I just said, you can also do a meditation where you can project a beam from your crown going out into space, almost like a beacon, with love, and basically as a calling card, you can set the intention through that this is where I am if you'd like to connect. Now, it depends on the level of evolution. Some of the beings just don't need that sort of stuff. So I know people that one person that comes to my Sky Watches, they visualise a big sort of green fluoro neon hand coming up right up into the sky, waving, calling them in, and I've seen results. And that works for them. So it's what about works for you? And it's a bit of trial and error with this. So, just be aware of that as well. You can also visualize that you're leaving your body and you're like a bright orb going into space, sending out the frequency to connect with these other civilizations, and you may connect with them there and then basically show them the way that you went up, but you're going back. So you come back to Earth and you connect with their consciousness and show them where you're coming back into on the planet Earth, the town, or where you're located, some landmarks, and then invite them in. This is the thing. You don't demand. They're a dog on nobody's leash. You invite them, and it's like a friend. You can ring them up, what's going on? Are you able to catch up for a coffee and have a chat? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. It's the same scenario here, though it's not like they land and crack open a beer, mate, and go and have one with them. So, I don't know, some races might do that. I haven't met any yet that I'm aware of that do. Energy exercises as well can be good in a group setting when approaching this. So Qigong, Yigong, Tai Chi, even just sitting there sometimes and doing an Om circle or Om. It can be fun. Anything that's sort of bringing the group together, but you can do that yourself as well to bring through a peaceful frequency. So what I want to go into now is there's other people doing this like Joe Dispenza and others, and I think it's a great idea. I've heard of this technique a while ago as well. Is what I want you to do is meditate, and I want you to visualize breathing in, and as you breathe in from the root chakra, I want you to visualize energy going up the spine to the pineal gland, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out, and then do it again. Bring the energy up the spine to the pineal gland and hold it for 4, breathe out, and then again, breathe the energy up. So visualize the energy, and you may even start to feel the energy going from the root chakra, the bottom of the spine, up the spine to the pineal gland. And what this can do is help activate it more. Now, there is other things that you can do to activate the mind's eye. Like I mentioned earlier, a candle light exercise where you visualize the candlelight. So light a candle, sit it in front of you, stare at it, close your eyes and still see it. And when the image starts to go, open your eyes and keep repeating that. You don't have to do it for hours on end, but something like that in some of your practices can help activate it. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ascension Teachings. Thank you for watching.